throws to his out deep in the middle of the field. Rod Smith's got it. Here we go. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Rod Smith, Denver, touchdown. Inside the 10, head first. Right. Oh, my God, line. Wanted that first down. And I tell you what, if you want to tell me the 37-year-old man that's going to win this game. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. It's Thomas in the middle. Good stick. Got it to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going to run the and the pocket is good. Ball knocked out of his hands. It bounces around. And I think Denver's got it. Von Miller again. Wilson fires. Touchdown. Sutton. His second of the game.
Hey, Broncos country, thanks so much for tuning into the Denver Bronco Roundup. Of course, we're a proud podcast of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Everyone that's jumping on right now is probably already knows that. I appreciate you jumping through. Of course, we got our good friend and co-host, Jody Moncrief. Jody, how we doing, sir?
Sorry. Welcome, Bronco Country. Had the mic off. Great way to start the show.
Well, you keep us all intrigued, man. You keep that silence, Anyone that's just listening in, they're like, man, he's really coming down the hallway. It's like Johnny Carson coming out through the curtains. All right.
Right.
Well, all right, man. It's welcome aboard. It seems like it's been forever. I know it's only been a week. How's your week been?
It's been good.
Yeah.
How about you? Missing training camp yet?
I am. Like I said right before we got on, we were kind of talking about this. I am missing 95 degrees, staring straight into the sun, not a breeze in sight. I'm missing seeing those guys run around. It's amazing how used to it you get. There we go. I finally got those words out. It's
right.
You take for granted some guys out there stretching and just doing some blocking drills. I'd love to be able to see that right now, just to see kind of the inside, because there is a little bit of a limited view. I wish we got a little bit more. Speaking of which, Hard Knocks, I guess, kicks off. So
Kicks off tonight.
So that being said, I kind of wish we had Hard Knocks. I guess at least I'd be able to see some of that inside.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. We're overdue.
I think Hackett would be a riot on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, you got Hackett, you got Russell Wilson coming in. You know what I mean? His whole dynamic. It would be it would have been a heck of a show. But do you even know who's the team for Hard Knocks this year? I forget who it is.
It's.
Oh boy! Anybody
I should know, but
I should know too. So. Hey, guess what? We already got our first viewer chiming in. It's Kurt Valente from the K&K Show. Do we need another receiver via free agency or trade? If yes, who? And great show, boys, man. We barely even started, Kurt, so thank you. I appreciate the great show already, man.
It's the Detroit Lions. The Lions.
And Danny Kitchen almost beat you to it, man. He just chimed in. The Lions, and I think that's Kurt as well saying the Lions. So the Lions, that will be a show. Don't get me wrong.
Because I heard this is like Jared Goff's third Hard Knocks or something, I think I heard.
He's going to have to play host here pretty soon, you know what I mean? Come in with his microphone. Hello. And
because I think this first episode, it's on Hutchinson, or their first-round draft pick out of Michigan.
Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. Very good. I mean, like I said, their coach is a riot. Anybody that says he wants to.
Campbell is.
He wants to bite the kneecaps off his opposition. Is something that should be pretty good television. But nonetheless, I really wish we had a little bit more of an inside look. You get spotty highlight reels, I guess is the best way you could put it otherwise. So, yes, I'm missing it. Thanks a lot, Jody. I really appreciate that, man. Well, we have a ton of topics, obviously.
Tell us a little bit about it before we dive into stuff.
Man.
I mean, what's it like being there?
It was fantastic. So this year's sponsor was Ford. I got to give it up to Burdick's Lock and Key Smith. I do not own a Ford. However, if you had a Ford key fob and you were the first 30 people to show up with a Ford key fob, you were the first 30 people let in. You were right on the front line, and for the second half that I was there, they were letting you sit wherever you wanted, so you literally got the pick of wherever you wanted to go. So anywhere on the berm, that is, obviously. But like I said, something I didn't actually have, they actually lent me out a key fob so that I could go down there and utilize it. I used it every single day. I didn't actually get to use it day one because I was like the 40th person. So back to the regular line I went, but it was fantastic, just to be able to get in there and get to sit right in front, you know what I mean? Get to see everything happening right in front of you. It was just that, to be that close, to have, Russell Wilson run the line and Jerry Jeudy run the line and Dulcich and there's a bunch of different guys that were out there that they actually just ran down the line and you're getting high fives as you're going down the line. So that was like super, super cool, be able to experience that, just be able to be that close and whether it was drills that you saw that were like right on the edge, right on that end zone. They did a lot of running back drills, a lot of linebacker drills happened right there. But probably, obviously, the standout was when 11 and 11 would break out. And if you were on that correct field, like I said, they only kind of placed you half of the days. So when you were only on one side of the field or the other side of the field, sometimes you were looking across. But once they allowed you to go wherever you wanted, and I got to know the people, and I would ask them where is the scrimmage field. Then of course I had that fantastic field of view where all the corner end zone plays were coming right into your lap, and sometimes that was Brandon McManus kicking field goals right into your laps, and just a fantastic experience. If anybody noticed, we switched from a two-person to one person. It looks like we may have lost Jody, so hopefully we'll get him back really, really soon, and I'll have my co-host back. If not, this is my first time doing a single host, so welcome, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in and continuing to watch just me. I gotta give it up to all the staff, though. Fantastic people. They were great to work with. From the people who were security, the people that brought you in the facility and were obviously part of the Denver Broncos themselves. Just really nice people. Miss them as well. But being able to, like I said, being able to see all these athletes up front, being able to see things that aren't on just highlight reels, and being able to see, honestly, be able to spotlight and look at a particular group that may not get that much attention when it comes to some of those highlight reels. It was fantastic. I'm missing it. I'm really, really, really looking forward to preseason. So once preseason gets here, I think that will cure my ills just a little bit of not being able to watch Denver Broncos training camp. So, and guess what, everybody? Jody's back. Hey, Jody.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My internet just totally kicked me off.
It's okay. You just still have to come back for my great story about training camp and rewatch this episode because I'm not going over all that again. But man, these viewers, they were like chiming in. There was comments going all over the place. They're like, that's the most amazing story I've ever heard, Keith. And I'm like, yeah, Jody's missing it all, guys. Sorry. But welcome back, buddy. Like I said, I appreciate all the viewers who are just loving on my training camp stories, but missed it. It's great getting in there, being first, being up front, being able to see all the athletes, being able to look at guys that or groups or different position groups that that aren't being on the highlight reels. You know what I mean, and really be able to dig in and see what. How the D-line is looking, for instance. You know what I mean? Just don't hit the highlight reels all that often. So definitely missing that. That being said, it seems like it's preseason just right around the corner. We're going to have some training with the Dallas Cowboys and then get right to a preseason game with them. So that should be fun as well.
Yeah, first time contacting other players besides your own team. I'm excited for it.
It's overdue. These guys, and we'll get to it maybe a little bit later, but training camp's been a little bit different for them. I think they're ready to kind of go at it and actually put some hands on. So,
yep.
Well, very good. I know I tried to jump to it a little bit early. You reeled me back in, made me tell all my great stories of training camp. But we do have a few things to get to, obviously. My post was more about Courtland Sutton, but really it's just about this wide receiver room. Courtland Sutton's only hit 1,000-yard receiving season once. Obviously, he's been injured as well. And my thought was, hey, can he get to that point? Can he get to the point where he's that, that number one receiver, that top 10 receiver in the league? Can he return to, that Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver? But beyond that, with Tim Patrick going down, that cascades to every single one of these guys. So,
yeah, I think he's in for a big year. Reports he struggled a little bit but that's with PS2 covering him. Who wouldn't struggle?
Yeah, the thing that's starting to concern me is that we're starting to hear that narrative a little bit more. We're not hearing of the big plays really come out from Courtland Sutton and Russell Wilson. It's here and there. We're getting a play or two that that comes out and everyone's kind of oohing and ahhing over maybe, but it's sporadically. It's not
right.
Courtland Sutton and Russell Wilson are tearing up training camp either, and I know that he's going against Patrick Surtain. I know that our safeties with Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons are also nothing to necessarily thumb your nose at, but
right.
There's part of me that is concerning. He is going to, once in my mind, when I looked at Tim Patrick and I looked at Courtland Sutton, I almost looked at more of a 1A, 1B type of situation. I don't know how you feel. I don't know how our viewers feel, but for me, it felt like 1A and 1B. So when all of a sudden your 1B goes down, and all of a sudden we're talking about Judy's needs to make that step. Hamler needs to come back strong.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of attention on Courtland Sutton when it comes to wide receivers. And so I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than a lot of people think just to go out there and say, hey, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. It's just what I feel. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's that 10-touchdown, 1,000-yard receiver.
He's going to need some other guy. I think he's got the talent to do it. He needs some other guys to step up, and Jerry Jeudy being one. All reports he's had a mixed bag the whole training camp, dropping balls. I don't know where his head's at. He is going to be an important piece to this offense. Either he steps up or on to the next, I guess, because there's a lot of guys in the wings, really balling out, trying to fill Tim Patrick's shoes.
Well, and we're going to start getting down to Kurt's question here in just a little bit, but I would 100% agree that that's one of my biggest concerns is what I saw from Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy didn't ever look like, okay, well, Courtland's over there taking the pressure, Courtland's taking Pat Surtain, so right. Jeudy should be taking advantage of Darby left, right, and otherwise. From all accounts, there has been nothing said bad about this defense. I can't think of one time when they're like, defense, rough day. You know, cornerbacks were getting lit up all over the place. Safeties were out of place. And that's linebackers couldn't cover today.
To be expected. Usually in the beginning, the D always has the advantage in training camp. This is a top 5 defense from last year, so. And I think they only got better. So, that's expected. You've got a new – they're running a lot of the same concepts as last year. So,
and I hope so. I hope that we're just that dominant that once the opponents come upon us, that our offense just flourishes and looks fantastic, and our defense just absolutely locks down every single team and holds them to 10 points or less. I'm hoping that's the case. But I also think it'd be a little naive not to have a little bit of concern when it comes to some of these other position groups. So Kurt asked the question, do we need another receiver via free agency or trade?
No, I don't think so. Not at this time. I mean, they're going to give Judy first shot, second shot, third shot to take over this wide receiver number 2 role. So, I mean, they're going to give him all the chances in the world. They've got a lot vested in him, and there's guys out there that probably won't sign right away. I mean, Odell Beckham, he's not ready right now. I mean, so if it doesn't pan out, that's someone you could look at later.
How much is later? And who would you target? Let's say it's week 4 and things just aren't clicking at all with Judy. Who you know what I mean? And OBJ hasn't been signed yet. I'll give you that. What other names do you see out there, currently out there, might just still be hanging around that you would say, hey,
and that's why I don't know. That's why I think
week 6, week 8, do I need to go deeper or what's going on?
I mean, if you get to week 8 and it's not gelling, you've got massive problems.
Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed. I don't think it's going to get there. And I look at last year, look at week 1 when Judy got hurt against the Giants. I mean, he was balling out 6 catches. I mean, and maybe this is just doesn't practice well, but turns it on in games. Maybe
are you calling him Allen Iverson?
Practice?
We're talking about practice, man.
Right.
Practice. Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
But really, I don't think that they need to go out and get another wide receiver. You've got guys on this roster that have been Montel Washington, for one, who every day from reports, he's making big plays, scoring a touchdown. He's been balling out. He's more than just a return guy. So, I mean, you got some young guys. So,
been looking fantastic, man. I mean, and I'm not going to disagree with you, man. I think there's not only other talent on this roster that we need to look at first and foremost, but I also think there's other position groups that are actually going to relieve some of that pressure.
Tight ends
and those running backs. These running backs are going to be a lot more involved in the receiving game than we saw last year. I mean, that was a rarity, and even when it seemed like when they were sitting open on the wings, our quarterbacks really even threw to them anyway. So
that was one of the things I was excited about when they signed Gordon, is he was an elite catcher out of the backfield, and they didn't utilize that last year.
And not at all. And that guy can catch a swing pass, running out in stride. That's the thing that's great with him. He's one of those in stride, catch the ball, continue to run just down the field, just lay it out in front of him perfectly. And we've got, obviously a quarterback that might be able to go with that. So,
and I think that's a plus for this offense. If the receiving game starts off slow, lean on that running game. I mean, you've got big guys up front. Lean on that running game. Lean on 2 running backs that, had combined 1,800 yards last year.
Yeah, one of the things not being at training camp over the last few days, Hackett comes out today and says that Albert O has been looking really good as of lately, which is a good sign because that's a guy who I didn't see look good when I was there. So he was definitely a guy that needed to turn it up. I'm glad that he's doing so. If not, I was going to be all over the Eric Salbert for starter train. I'm telling you, man, that guy was looking fantastic. I don't know if that's a trade piece or a hide on the roster somehow, or man, I tell you what, that guy is looking good and playing good when it came to training camp. So,
it sounded like him and Russell had a little bit of a connection. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's got, right now he's not showing up on the unofficial depth chart that just came out. Thank you, Matt Staffiero, who put that out to our group. He's obviously the owner of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and the guy who gets my show out to everybody. So I appreciate him. But he put out there is a unofficial depth chart, Eric Salbert is not 1 or 2. I can tell you that. I didn't look how much further down the line he is, but is not holding one of those top 2 spots, which he was looking, quite honestly, like he should.
What kind of what did you see from Dulcich on the sidelines? Was he, getting a lot of work on the sidelines, or was it ball cap and just watching?
No, he was getting his jog on, I guess is the best way to do it. He was trying to, work through some, I would say some routes, but he's doing it at probably half cut speed, I should say, you know what I mean? He's not making hard cuts, he's making about half cuts through all of it. So, he was warming up. It sounded like he was getting in a little bit more, and now they've backed him off a little bit again. Just trying to, again, as Hackett always says, we're just trying to take care of him, do all the right things all the right ways. So,
yeah,
I do want him to be available. He is a freak athlete. You get to see a little bit because they will do receiving drills, and when he's in stride and he's receiving that ball, and you can just imagine what he looks like, all padded up and healthy, not worrying about taking a hit or anything like that. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be really fun to watch, and I like the fact that they're excited about his blocking skills as well. So,
watching some of his tape from UCLA, I've seen a lot of Julius Thomas in the way he ran routes and was a big wide receiver like that.
Yeah,
with speed for a tight end.
Speed for a tight end. Likes to high point a ball. You know what I mean? Catch it, keep it up high. You know what I mean? So that
catches with his hands. Yeah,
catches with his hands. Yeah, doesn't catch with his body. So Matt has chiming in. He says there has been some rumors the Broncos have at least called about Jalen Reagor. Ooh, what do you think, Jalen Reagor? Philadelphia.
I'm still going to stick to there's no need to panic right now. You still have Sutton, and I think Judy is going to figure it out. Hamler's coming back a little bit slower, but he's coming off 2 injuries.
Yeah.
The ACL and hip. And you've got guys stepping up like Montel Washington for one.
Yeah.
So, and Hinton. He's a decent little slot wide receiver, so
yeah,
I don't think it's time to panic yet.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think that we do have some options. You only have to be so deep. The one thing that also kind of concerns me is we have seen guys get nicked up, been out for a few days, get injured. It doesn't matter if it's a DJ Jones, a K'Wan Williams,
who's back at practice, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, both those guys actually back at practice today. Yep. But, both guys, and I understand that DJ Jones also had a child, so congratulations to DJ Jones. So
congrats to him.
Yeah, took a little extra day, it sounded like, because of that. But, K'Wan Williams obviously working his way back. But there's a lot of guys that, again, nicked up, hurt, we're going to take it slow. We're going to get our way back. It's after Tim Patrick goes down. It seems like we're all holding our breath now. And I should also mention not to downplay Demir Crockett as well, who went down, because I just don't want to lose sight of that, guys.
Right. No, I think he was going to be a key special teams guy. So
yeah, and just a guy that, quite honestly, doesn't have the big contract. So, I just want to give a shout out to him and keep his name out there. Hopefully he gets another shot another day. So
a lot of hard work in front of him, and hopefully he, bounces back from it.
Absolutely. 100%. I'm going to agree with you that, this receiving core needs to kind of stay put. We need to kind of see it play out. Judy is a first-round pick. You know what I mean? He needs to produce as such here pretty shortly. If he doesn't produce here shortly, then we do need to move on. But we need to give him that opportunity in order to do so. Montrell Washington, oh my goodness, that guy is quite amazing. He played obviously a lot of second team when he was down at training camp. they weren't doing anything special when it came to return game and stuff like that. But man, just the opportunities that he got and the times that I was able to see him, the guy's lightning, and it'll be interesting once KJ Hamler's healthy and you have Montrell Washington and KJ Hamler possibly being on the field at the same time.
Right.
What an exciting duo that could be, line up with Sutton.
And that's what Russ likes to do, throw the ball deep. So,
yeah, got that moonshot, right?
Yep, 2 speedsters right there.
Yeah. Oh, man. It'll be interesting. So, 1,000 yards for Sutton?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to, when this season starts, I think him, and you can already start to see it from reports. Him and Russ are starting to get on the same page, and I think some of it is he just knows that knee. There's no point going up and making a big, why in practice. But I think he'll be ready, and I think he's big things for Sutton.
I'm hoping so, man. Like I said, I'm hoping that this Surtain lockdown is just that. I think we have.
Right.
I think we do have a Pro Bowler, and I hope that he has some opportunities to really bust out in this offense. Second question for you: do we have 2 1,000-yard receivers? And if so, who would that be?
I would like to say yes. I'd like to say Judy steps up and shows why he was a first-round pick. I think that, but no, from what I've seen or what I've heard in camp, that's the but. But I think he might be one of those, like a Tim Tebow, doesn't practice well, but when the game day, he performs.
When the lights come on, huh?
When the lights come on, that's what I'm hoping.
I'm hoping so too. I'll be honest. I think I'm very skeptical about hitting 1,000-yard receiver. I think it's going to be a larger spread than we think. I think that between the receivers that we have, the tight ends that we have, the way that we're going to utilize the running backs in this game, I think it'll be close. I think that I'm not saying that we're going to only have 700-yard wide receivers on this roster. I think it'll come close, but I think it'll be closer than a lot of people expect, just because of the way the ball is going to be spread in this game. And not to mention the fact that everyone's been talking, hey, they want this to be a run-first offense,
Right.
offense. So you start gobbling up a lot of yardage and time, with Javonte Williams, with Melvin Gordon. You start throwing the ball to Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, Alberto, Greg Dulcich, you know what I mean? And then you start looking at receivers, and you have, their number one corner on Cortland Sutton. It starts getting a lot tougher to start looking at this receiving core and saying, absolutely 100% we're going to have a 1,000-yard receiver. I could see a 956, from Cortland Sutton or something odd like that, where we get really, really close, just doesn't get there, at least from a regular season perspective.
No, I think Sutton will get there. I mean, he had over 700, and he had I mean, I think Kim and Russ are going to get on the same page, and I think you're going to see some good things from Sutton. I mean, I think as his preseason wears on, that knee he's going to find confidence in it, and I think that's what he lacked last year. He didn't have full confidence in that leg.
I agree 100% that there's some ability and some confidence, I think, that has been gained from last year to this year from Sutton. Again, I don't know. Maybe you could, if Sutton gets 1,000 yards, I'll shave my head, and if he doesn't, you can shave your goatee.
Okay.
Not big commitment on my part. Okay.
My biggest worry on this team is O-line. What did you see from the O-line?
I mean, again, it's one of those things that you were talking a little bit earlier. In training camp, defense always has the position on
right.
or has the better position. we're not really blocking. We're not really putting hands on. We're certainly not hitting, right, at this point. So
right.
It was difficult to tell, but I'll be honest, as much as I saw Reed and Chubb and a few others, into the backfield, it was more than I wanted. But it's really tough to say when you can't really, lean into a guy, really put your hands on a guy, so.
Right. Yeah, that right tackle position is what has me worried. I mean, two guys you thought were going to battle for it are still on PUP, and I mean, I always thought from the games I've seen, Anderson was a better left tackle than right tackle. So,
yeah, maybe so. It'll be interesting. Matt brings up a good point, and the O-line has been rated as a top 10 by multiple parties and or outlets, even a top 5, if I remember right, from one of them. I think there's a lot of, Cushenberry, by all accounts, everyone that's been speaking, and everything that I saw, he is solid at center. It's those edges. It's still Garrett Bowles. It's still Anderson. I think they're going up against some pretty tough competition, and once again,
right.
It's training camp. You know what I mean? And it's not. They're not in a position to necessarily put a guy down on the ground. You know what I mean? You can't be out there pancaking a guy. Just it doesn't happen. So
right.
You're having to relent so much. It is a little bit tough to tell. It's another reason I'm excited for that Dallas Cowboys, first preseason game, just to see what's out there. Even if it's the twos, it's the concept, it's the ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get a better feel of exactly where your team is at. So, and just one more from Matt while we're hitting all these comments. If Jerry Jeudy can't replicate a Justin Jefferson type of season with Russell Wilson, our favorite B word may be thrown out there. Justin Jefferson, in just my personal opinion, is a very, very, very high watermark. I don't know if that's necessarily fair to hold him to a Justin Jefferson, because even though that was the guy I loved in that draft, and I'm just so happy that he did well, and he's in Minnesota. At least he's in the NFC. That guy is just going off the charts. You know what I mean? He's playing at a level that you would want any wide receiver drafted to play at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless if he's taken 1 or 5th or 10th or 15th, you know what I mean? You want this guy playing like Justin Jefferson. So I do agree that Jeudy needs to elevate his game, or we will start talking bust, because he was potentially one of the best receivers in that, or maybe the best receiver in that group. There was a lot of discussion in that, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, coin toss type of situation. So do you think he needs to have a Jerry Jeudy season, Jody?
No, I don't think he needs
or a Justin Jefferson. Thank you.
No, but a good season for him coming off the last 2 seasons is 900 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. I mean, he had 0 touchdowns last year. So
yeah,
and just catch the ball, be reliable. I think that would be a great season.
And I think that's obviously one of the biggest concerns, because that's, again, one of the things that we're hearing at a training camp. So brings us right back to those Jalen Reagors and Kurt Valente asking if we should bring in another wide receiver. I just hate that a lot of teams are really, really reluctant to ever look down on their depth chart before they start looking outside. And you see that happen a lot. And I think there's a little bit more talent. I think we're both hoping for some of that talent to be looked at and to be given that opportunity before we start spending. Now, I would say, how much OBJ on a 1-year contract?
I like OBJ's game. He's coming off that injury.
Yeah.
He hasn't stuck around anywhere, and there's reasons for that. Is he a locker room cancer? What's the reason?
Gotcha.
New York to Cleveland to the Rams. I mean, the Rams had multiple opportunities to bring him back, and they didn't. Why? I mean, there's something.
Well, there's a little bit of this too. They don't have a whole lot of money to spread around.
Right, and
in LA,
there's a reason that him and these other guys are still free agents. There's a reason that teams aren't just busting down the doors to sign them.
Oh, 100%. You know, that's a great point. You know what I mean? Hey, be careful of looking where the grass may be greener, right? You know,
right.
At least you know what you have in your own backyard. So, oh man. Well, I think it's just going to be one of those things. Hopefully, as we get through these preseason games, it'll give us a better feeling about where we're at. If nothing else, with who our projected starters are, maybe who's backing them up. I would rather save the money. I'd rather
right.
keep that money for, who knows who goes, knock on wood. But, who goes down in week 4, you know what I mean? And you're out there looking, so.
I mean, look at last year. You lost both starting middle linebackers by week 4?
Yeah, exactly. Great point. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to come. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. I don't want to hit the panic button. It's great that we're out there and at least we're making calls. You never know. Maybe they're not wanting more than a couple of Triscuits for Jalen Reagor. You know what I mean? And you'd be stupid not to ask.
And that's not George Payton's style. I mean, he's always been a collect draft picks and type thing, and he doesn't have a lot right now. With the Wilson trade, so
yeah, spent a little bit more than he normally does in order to make this happen. Yep,
I'm 100% good with what he gave up for Wilson, but he's been, you can see, trying to recoup some picks. So
I 100% agree, buddy. I 100% agree. So everybody, I think our collective thought or our collective agreement is that hold steady, maybe at least wait things out a little bit. Don't hit the panic button. We don't need to hit the OBJ button right now. Make a few calls if you want to, get a feel for what's out there. But I think we have some talent in this draft on our roster that could show if given the opportunity. I think Jody said the exact same thing. So hang on tight, Broncos country. Like I said, those preseason games are just a couple days away. So. A few days away.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say couple. Don't get people excited. Only 2 days away. It's only a few days away. So, just around the corner. So,
a question for you:
break.
While you were at
yeah,
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
No, hit me, man.
While you were at camp, who was a breakout guy you've seen? I mean, someone that just stood out to you, like that you weren't the kind of off the radar that you weren't expecting.
Okay, so obviously too many people have been talking about Washington because that was somebody who just jumped off the page even probably day 2, day 3. Could have probably been calling that a little bit earlier, but now everybody's all over that. The one that is really, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, nobody's been talking bad about the defense, but if you think about just a year ago, the position that everybody was just up in arms that we should have drafted for, that we need to address, that we need to figure out, that this defense is just this position away from, is that middle linebacking position. And I got to tell you, Jonas Griffith is out there playing fantastic. I think he's the reason that Joe Schobert was sent packing back out the door after he was flown in and given a workout and brought into the building. I think he continues to prove to the coaching staff that, hey, maybe we don't need to go out there and get the name like everyone's been thinking, because obviously it's been on their mind. But man, Jonas Griffith, it doesn't matter if he's having to come up there and he's stuffing the run, or if he's having to not to give away a whole lot, but those guys are having to cover a ton.
Yeah,
Josie Jewell and Jonas Griffith are having to cover a ton, and you're not hearing about how they're Josie Jewell and Jonas Griffith are getting burnt in training camp, every single day. That's not the word coming out of training camp. So these guys are playing quite well. I think that Josie Jewell has had a lot of expectations that, hey, you better show up. You've been injured. There's thoughts and ideas around you. So, there was already expectations. But Jonas Griffith has just went in there and made people forget about Alexander Johnson and Kenny Young and the like.
I've been saying that for a while. He was the reason that they didn't bring Kenny Young back.
Well, then you nailed it.
And they didn't address it. I mean, from what I seen last year, he played really well. Did he make some mistakes? Yeah, but he's a young player.
Well, I can tell you, I don't know if it's just the scheme of this defense, maybe the work that he put in, because he does look like he is an athlete out there. You know what I mean? He's put together and ready to go. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just some of that offseason work. But Jonas Griffith absolutely is probably my biggest, hey, that guy has made the jump to the point that, like I said, we're not even talking about it anymore. We're not talking about that.
Yeah,
position.
We're not even.
It's been a non-entity. So, all right, but I just want to talk a little bit about Willow Seasonings and Blends. By the way, picked up some Willow Seasonings and Blends myself. Got a little of that sweet heat rub. Threw it on some pork ribs. Went ahead, and I don't have a smoker, so in the oven it went, 180 degrees for a few hours. Then went ahead and put it on the barbecue, just to sear it off. Cook it, just finish up a little bit of cooking and sear it off. Hit it with some Sweet Thang barbecue sauce. I am telling you, buddy, that was the ticket. WillowSeasonings.com. If you guys are out there, my wife, she loves barbecue, man. I can tell you, she's probably one of the biggest critics out there. She was absolutely digging that rub, man. She loved it because, as Dave, who's the owner of Willow Seasonings, proud veteran, proud Coloradoan. So Coloradoan? How do I say that? I'm a Montana boy. All right. But he's out there. Obviously, he's the owner, producer of Willow Seasonings and Blends. Me and him were talking the other day. He said one of his secrets is that the fact that anything that you're getting off the shelf probably tastes a lot like salt. And that's one things that really comes through is it's all the flavor that you get with Willow Seasonings. It is fantastic. It isn't just a bunch of salt. It will absolutely give your meat flavor beyond what you ever expected. It was a phenomenal meal. Thank you, Willow Seasonings. Thank you, Dave. WillowSeasonings.com. Type in new 15. You get a little bit extra off on your order. So new 15, great way to get your collection started. He has a fantastic collection of rubs and a couple of sauces. So go out there, WillowSeasonings.com. Get them today. I promise you, after the meal I had just the other night, you will not regret it, man. Jody, you need to get some, man.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put some Willow Seasonings on my burgers. I think it's going to be fantastic, man. I think it's going to
turned out good.
I haven't tried it yet, man. I just got done with the ribs, man. The ribs have to get done first. I can't let them just sit around. So
thinking about your next meal while you're eating.
I'm already got all these creations coming in my mind. He's like, hey, try this one on popcorn. It's like, dang, don't be giving me snack foods on top of it, Dave. No.
Right.
So, oh man, I tell you what, it was a fantastic meal. Literally, I know that I'm done with my plug, but you need to check it out, man. It's really good stuff. So, well, you started hitting on it. One of our other topics, man, was up or down. I know that we had a lot of expectations when it came to training camp, a lot of ideas of who was going to be standouts, maybe some, guys on the roster that we never really expected to be, that big of a player or that big of a, position guy, have that big of a position on this roster. I hit one already. Why don't you give me an up or down, Jody? Who have you seen that, or who have you not seen, I guess, on this roster as training camp has been, a week and a half?
My up 2 weeks from now? All reports is, my up is Draymond Jones. Sounds like he's really been in the backfield a lot and the whole right side of the line is really struggling blocking him. Or that's Minor, Moody, Anderson. I mean, he's just been havoc in the backfield.
So Draymond Jones kind of standing out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's been my standout.
I 100% agree, man. I mean, like I said, that defense it's been tough to really pick on that defense whatsoever. So any guy that you weren't really maybe expecting to stand out, it seems like they are standing out. Heck, I still remember DJ Jones, starting off a practice, which I think was supposed to be fairly laid back, and the first thing he does is he bats down a pass.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we weren't really expecting that. We were supposed to just not be really, going at it defense, but here he is already batting down passes. That defense has been playing, quite honestly, quite well. A guy that that I was hoping was gonna just like jump off and really be, a standout, I guess you could say, was Michael Ojemudia. I think he's held his own on this defense, but I don't think at the same time anybody's just going, oh my gosh, this guy is back, and he's just all over the field, and he's got people locked down, and I think he's playing well. I think he's playing his own, but he's not challenging, Ronald Darby, let's say, for his position or anything like that. You know what I mean? Right. I think Michael O is just only playing his role, and I was really hoping that he was going to be that guy that really, took off and was, after that injury, maybe come back and be that, standout in training camp in 2022.
Yeah, and maybe he can show some more in this scrimmage tomorrow with Dallas, or first preseason game.
Absolutely, I think that's what we're going to see. A lot of this is once that preseason hits is really what we're going to see. Again, up and down.
Right.
Well, I was before when I first posted this until Nathaniel Hackett got on there. My biggest concern was Albert O. Before the last couple of days, that was, again, a guy that, from all accounts, going out with Russell, supposedly having a fairly good time when you were out in San Diego, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Expected a lot when we came out into training camp. We didn't have Greg Dulcich on the field, so there wasn't that competition behind him. It was really up to him. And as we kind of spoke, it was Eric Salbert that really was showing out. He was the guy that was getting all the accolades when it came to the tight end room as training camp answered. So I guess I'm glad that he's kind of coming on as of maybe the last day or two, it sounds, but a guy that I expected a lot more from.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have a role in this offense. I mean, I think he was one of the main reasons why they let the tight end is skipping my mind to Seattle. Why they let him go? I mean,
Fant.
Noah Fant. I think that was one of the reasons why they so easily gave up Noah Fant. It was because of Alberto.
Yeah, I don't think it's, I know that Matt was talking about that B word a little bit earlier, but Noah Fant was one of those guys that I had a lot higher expectations from, that I don't know if he ever hits those expectations. See what happens in Seattle, but certainly didn't look that part necessarily here in Denver. So,
right.
Matt's already starting to take some hot takes into the future, taking training camp completely out of the conversation. Looking to the future, he says that Mathis skyrockets up the depth chart at cornerback, possibly sliding into that 4 or possibly the 3 spot. Damari Mathis, heck, I caught a great interception that he had at training camp just a few days ago, or a day or two before I left. He's a guy that certainly, I tell you that I think we did better at this draft than most people realize or recognize. And maybe it's one of those things that 3 years down the league, when some of these guys have to be scattered around the league and they're getting opportunities elsewhere, that we actually realize exactly what this draft was like. Because whether you're looking at Damari Mathis or Delaren Turner-Yell, a safety that's just, again, not going to get really an opportunity to see the field. A couple of guys that I really liked, boy,
if that comes true, great for the Broncos. I mean, that's another steal in the draft, and one can only hope that comes true.
Yeah, but what was his name that went off to Tampa Bay?
Shaq Barrett.
Shaquille Barrett. Yeah, Shaq Barrett. You know, that's one of the things that if for every time that you're like, hey, I'm so proud that we were able to draft that good, you know, you don't want Damari Mathis going off as you know, an Indianapolis Colt, you know, 2 years from now necessarily, and Delari Turner-Yell being the safety for the Ravens or something like that. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, geez, man, couldn't we found a spot away? You know, but I think we have some great talent, and nice hot take. I don't know if he'll make it all the way to 3. I'd love to see him get that 4 spot though, Matt. I think he has that opportunity, and like I said, with Michael Ojemudia maybe not blowing people away, maybe that is the opportunity for Damari Mathis to jump up a spot or 2 and hit the field.
Right.
Never know. So, any other you know, just people that you were expecting more of, or weren't expecting much of?
I had 2 guys. One I was expecting more of was Calvin Anderson, and from all reports, he's been kind of that weak link on the O-line and been struggling.
Yeah,
I hope that's not a problem again this year. I mean, the other 2 guys you brought in for competition are still on the PUP.
Can I give you any more? Does it stop your hesitation at all if we take the same idea and context that you took earlier with Cortland Sutton having to go up against Pat Surtain and say that who does Calvin Anderson need to go up against?
Yeah.
You know,
my only fear is I've seen him in game action, and I always thought he was always a better left tackle.
Yeah, you just feel he's out of position, and he's not just up to that task necessarily at that left tackle position. So who are you most excited to have come back off of PUP? Who do you feel fills that role the best?
I think Billy Turner. I mean, he's a Swiss Army knife. He plays all the positions on the line, and he was in Green Bay for a few years, so he knows his offense really well, and I think he'll fit in nicely. I
couldn't agree more. When Billy Turner was signed, I was ecstatic. Obviously, kind of a welcome home, but at the same time, I was just it was nice to finally maybe have that position kind of solidified, and excited to have that guy back. So again, I'll just go back to saying I'm really hoping, because it is just practice, that we're seeing the defense dominate. For more reasons than just the fact that this offensive line is struggling. So,
and I had one other guy that I think's been, from all reports, sounding like he's been hard to keep off the field, and that's Baron Browning on the outside. I mean, no one knew what he was going to do switching from inside to outside, but it sounds like he's taken to it really well, and he's been a monster when trying to block him. So.
Well, because similarly, when I was saying everyone's been talking about Montreal Washington, well, man, I tell you what, surprisingly, like you said, from day one, everyone's been talking about Baron Browning, dude. Everybody's been talking about it, man, and a good call out regardless. I'm not downplaying the call out. What I'm saying is, this guy, as you mentioned, he was 100 not expected to be this ready, have this much talent at a position he was not playing ever before already. And he's sometimes the best player, on the defense out there playing. He has been fantastic. So 100% good call. Not a guy I ever expected to be necessarily filling the role that he's filling now, and he's filling those shoes, maybe busting out the toes too, man. I'm telling you.
A position that they said might be a weakness on this. I mean, you've got Chubb, Gregory, Benito, Browning, Reed, Jonathan Cooper. I mean, what are you going to do with all these guys?
Yeah,
in a position of weakness might be a position of strength.
It quickly turned, man. It quickly turned, and it's good to have all these guys basically back and healthy. I know Jonathan Cooper just is getting back, I think, today, and then it sounds like by all accounts that Randy Gregory is making his strides just as expected.
Right.
They're not rushing him. We just won't see him. Not until
and
not
I'm
until
okay
game
with
day.
that. I mean, they invested a lot of money in him. There's no point in rushing him back.
If I didn't say hi to one of our other friends from the K&K show, I would I'd be a bad friend. So, sup, Keith? Well, what's up to Ed? Well, that's actually Sis, if anybody actually knows. That's Sis. So Sis also says hi to Jody. He just doesn't know Jody, but once you get to know Sis, he'll be dropping a hi. Don't believe me. So I appreciate stopping in, Sis. Always good to have any of you guys dropping in our show. By the way, can't wait for that K&K show to get started. I heard it's the end of August, so anybody that wants. Well, literally all sports, any sports. Maybe the format's changed a little bit. They can give me an update. I know they were looking at doing a couple of changes, but these guys, I can tell you that they know it top to bottom. So regardless of what they're talking about every single night, check out the K&K show. Fantastic show. East Coast based, which is always fun. You get those accents that you don't get from me and Jody.
Right.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, I have one other one for you. What did you see in the punter battle? I know it's not a sexy topic, but did you notice a lot from the left-footed kicker?
I didn't. The funny thing is I did notice. I remember seeing the block that everyone talked about.
Right.
And Sam Martin got blocked, and then I went over to the other field to see some, I think it was some type of scrimmaging that was happening or something like that, and went and looked at the other field as our left-footed punter, and I forget it, Carlitis.
Yeah.
It came out on the field. I guess he boomed a huge one, but by all accounts, Sam Martin was getting all of the reps. Anytime I looked over, and a lot of those times, those guys aren't necessarily getting reps. It's the punting machine that's they're simulating.
Right.
The snap and the whole
snap
nine
for
the blocking and stuff like that, but they're not actually punting the ball 100 times during practice. So, I also, to be honest, Sam hit some pretty good ones, and I did like the way he was angling it. He was angling the ball pretty dang well. So, like I said, most days out there on the berm, I was dying for a breeze though. So he really didn't have a whole lot of conditions to necessarily contend with. I was hoping he had some conditions to contend with. I still remember it was like day 2 that I was out there. It was like all overcast, and I actually had like a little over jacket on, and at one point I took it off and the breeze kicked up and I had to put it back on for a second. And that was the last day that anything like that was in sight. Besides that, it was like what is appropriate for me to strip down in? I saw no signage. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought my underwear would be just fine, but no. But it was some blistering hot days and not a whole lot of breeze. So hopefully they were able to get some kicks off. I guess it's the best way to put it. I just don't see that. I don't see them making a change. Probably not this year. Maybe next year. You know what I mean? But it feels like Sam's got the spot. So. Well, let's see. My guess is I'm just gonna go down the list because much like Kurt, who didn't necessarily give any type of authentication to StreamYard, Sis did. So we got Kurt and we got Sis. There's only one guy left. Kenny, I thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. Jumping in, and of course Kenny comes in here and says, "It's Kenny, laugh out loud." But look forward to having me as well. I always like to be a guest on your show. Jody would love to be a guest on your show. He'll work it into his schedule. We'll do a big K&K Denver Bronco Roundup mashup. That would be fun. Whatever you guys want, we'll be over. So thanks for joining in, guys. Appreciate it. So, I hate to say it, but one thing that I was maybe just expecting a little bit more of, and I know they're trying to put together an offense. I know they're trying to put together something that's never been here with the Broncos. It's not just, Coach Hackett's offense. It's not just Russell Wilson. It's this infusion. It's all these. I was really hoping to see more from Russell Wilson.
Right.
I'll be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. He's been good. He's been efficient. You rarely see balls hit the ground when he's back there at quarterback. You don't see a whole lot of wasted opportunities. But as far as, man, Russell Wilson came into training camp, and it was just a show all over the place.
All right.
It's been that way every single day. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
No wonder we brought in the Super Bowl winning, Pro Bowl quarterback. You know what I mean? He's not the rookie that we have expectations from.
Right.
He's not the maybe there's still something in here. He was supposed to be the guy. So I was kind of hoping for a few more fireworks than what I've actually gotten. I'll be honest.
That's one that I'm not worried about in the least. I think when the season starts, he will. I mean, he's not a 5-step drop and throw it right on time. He's never been that quarterback. He's been kind of scramble, make plays, and so
100%.
I'm not worried about that in the least.
So, okay, might as well get it out there. It's been all over any Broncos social media. Was it a sack? Or was that a completion to Jerry Jeudy for a touchdown? Or both?
Both. I mean, if you're a defensive guy, it was a sack. If you're an offensive guy, it was a touchdown. Either way, it was a good play by both sides. So
it was. But I'm the reason I bring this up is there's also been plenty of opportunities where they're like, that would have been a sack.
Right.
That would have been a sack. And part of that is going to be Russell Wilson, and part of that is going to be what we're going to have to get a little bit used to. This is a guy that holds on to the ball.
Right.
And he does take a few more sacks because of that. You know what I mean? And it'll be something different that we'll have to get used to. But he also has that ability, as you said. He's not a 5-step drop, throw it in time quarterback. He gets into the game. He's made that guy miss, make this guy miss, scramble way out to the left, and drop a dime on somebody. You know what I mean? Who's stayed in the play. So you have to be ready for that, and I guess it's just something that maybe that you're not going to see in training camp. But I'm still not backing off my thought. I was just hoping I would see a little bit more. And
there are some things like with this O-line that you aren't going to do against your teammates, like go low or some of the holding and different things that you're just not going to do because you're going up against your teammate.
Well, yeah, you see those plays where they push them to the outside and push them to the ground and land on top of them.
That's not happening.
You just can't do that, So it'll be interesting. I'm still not backing off, Jody. I mean, you can keep talking circles around me, but Russell Wilson should have shown us a little bit more in training camp for what we paid, what our expectations for, and I saw 85 to 90% of what I wanted to see from Russell Wilson.
Right.
I'll put it that way.
How much do you think you'll see Russell in the preseason?
Sparingly. I think it'll be those warm-ups,
right.
3 games to where you get maybe a quarter of them in the last game. You know what I mean? And that's all you see. I think you'll see him.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see him very much either.
Yeah, I think you see him a series or two and a quarter. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, I don't see him playing a full half like the last preseason game or.
No, there's
too much to risk. Yeah,
too much to risk. Exactly right. And by the time that third preseason game comes along, there's too many players that are trying to make a team, know, and just willing to blow up somebody for in order to try to try to get that. You know what I mean? You're trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to hit tape however you possibly can. You're going as fast as you possibly can, So that's not always great football. And it's not something you need to put your star players in the way of. So
what's something you're looking forward to tomorrow in this scrimmage with Dallas?
Literally, I'm just the thing I'm most interested in is just seeing how this offense and how this defense necessarily looks.
Right.
It's the cool thing. Well, it's like Walmart. We got falling prices back here. I got falling. I got falling props in the background. Wow. Okay. This defense has went up against a certain scheme of offense, and this offense is certainly went up against a certain scheme of defense.
Right.
And this defense is. So I'm really excited to see what this offense can do against this Dallas defense in the scrimmage, because I think we'll just have advantages that we haven't seen, and certainly as we've matched up against each other for literally, like you said, almost 2 seasons with the same defense. You know what I mean? That'll be what's interesting to see, is if this offense is able to bust out. Does Russell Wilson look good? Does he give me above 90%? You know what I mean? Not the 85 or 90 that I've been seeing. I want to see something more than an efficient offense. I want to see something. I want to see some highlights.
How about you? I want to see Judy make some plays, and I want to see this O-line gel. I want to see how this stretch run game looks and this zone blocking scheme, how that's gelling together, and when they can actually get their hands on somebody other than full pads, and you can chop and get your hands in there and do some different things. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see how many fights come out of it. You know what I mean? It should be a little. I think it could be a little bit chippy, and I think that'll be good. I think that we should get a little bit chippy. I mean, it's easy to go off against your own team, and from all accounts, Hackett's having them hug it out if they've had a bad experience with each other on the practice field. So, going up against a team and a guy that you're not having to hug once you're done might be a good experience for these guys too. So
yeah,
just start to work on those calluses a little bit. You know what I mean? It's those games are coming up pretty soon, man. So
no, I think it'll be good, and knock on wood, no one gets injured, and we see this this whole O in general gel.
100%, man. Maybe I'll just take a quick time out. Just talk about the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. If you guys haven't checked it out, they're better than just the Denver Bronco Roundup. They have tons and tons and tons of stuff going on over there, guys. They keep you up to date on all the Colorado sports for sure. Rocky Mountain sports, college football. I mean, you name it, these guys have things coming up. Certainly if there's anything going on in Colorado sports, whether it be trades or contracts or, for instance, something that we need to talk about, Jody. It's official. We have new ownership. That was something that was obviously broadcast on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network basically as it happened. So go over, check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. You'll find great content like me and Jody and the Denver Bronco Roundup, as well as many other shows, and all your up-to-date news and notes that you need to know from just about every league around the state. So, new ownership, buddy.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean,
it's official.
It's an end of an era for Pat Bowlen, but I'm excited. It brought new blood in, and it got some old faces out of here that were maybe too comfortable in their positions, and I think, and it comes with a lot of money, so maybe a new stadium, maybe some other things that we've never seen in the past, not to this level at least.
Yeah. Are you worried about Joe Ellis coming after you?
No.
Okay, you're kind of like you're talking in code here, like you're kind of a little bit worried about who you want to talk about here, about some of that maybe that blood that's been
that was more of a. I'm a huge Elway fan, but kind of towards the end he was, for how great he was in the beginning as a GM, he was just as bad at the end, and
you were ready for a change.
I was ready for a change.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously, maybe a Mount Rushmore of Denver Broncos faces, but at the same time, I'd have to agree with you for all the excitement that he first brought to the ownership and GM and vice president or whatever title he was holding at any particular year. When he first came in, it was an exciting thing, but
Right.
it's been nice to see George Payton. It's been nice to see Coach Hackett. It's been nice to see, quite honestly, new ownership and good ownership. You don't always get that. I mean, Daniel Snyder was at one point voted in as an owner, so you never know exactly what you're going to get. You know what I mean? And I think Broncos country is in great hands. I think we've put together not only a great main owner, but a great ownership team around himself. I know that Joe Ellis, speaking of which, I thought that's who you might have been talking about. Now I have to be worried about Joe Ellis coming after me. But you know, he agreed that he's going to stay on for the year and help out the group and the like. So it is a good passing. It's obviously, like you said, the opportunities in front of us are abound. So hopefully they take good care of us. Broncos country is in new hands, and we have a lot of trust. So let's hope they take us in the right direction. The only reason I say that, I also saw a report that the Broncos are at the top of the list of teams that could be finding new cities in the future, which I find that tough to believe. But at the same time,
I don't see that.
They just said it because of the ownership group and because of the opportunity as a new owner coming in. You know, the whole.
They have such a loyal fan base here, and I mean, from some of the stuff I've read, there's plenty of opportunities if they want to move out by the airport there, by DIA. I mean, he can build a little Denver city out there.
Yeah, I think there's nothing but growth in front of us, obviously, with this with the
and
Broncos
I think
here
with
in
them
Denver,
being related to Stan Kroenke, I think there's going to be some partnerships there. And I mean, Kroenke's big into the real estate, and you can see some big things happening there.
Yep, I think it's exciting. It's good news. I don't expect any moves. I don't want to send panic through Broncos country.
No, I don't see that.
It was some other bunk report that I happened across, but I'm always reading just about anything Broncos. I figured I'd mention it.
Right.
So, you know, I shouldn't mention the bunk report. So now I'm going to have some other company that's coming after me. Their bunk, you know.
Right.
Like, why are you using that 2,000 term bunk and calling us that, you know? But that being said, I digress. What else we got left, bud?
No, I think that's about it. I think I'm ready tomorrow. Ready for some pads to pop, and I'm sure the players are too, ready to hit somebody besides their own teammate. And I'm just ready to see a handful of guys, you know, step up.
I 100% agree. Just closing really quick, I guess the last topic was, what do you think of just Hackett's training camp? I know it's a little unorthodox. He's not doing necessarily one-on-ones. He's not doing 7-on-7s. He's giving every third day is a day off. I know if you listen to like 104.3 The Fan, if there's any fans of those guys out there as well, you have Orlando Franklin and Tyler Columbus, like tearing their hair out or freaking out.
Right.
Maybe they, you know, feel like they need a Xanax that these guys have not been performing these drills. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about it, man?
I'm kind of on the fence with it. I mean, I don't really have an opinion. We'll see how this season starts, see how preseason goes. I mean, if you're not gelling and some things, then maybe I'll start to worry. But until then, I'm not going to, because we've seen the other side of it. We've seen Vic be a hard nose and grinder, and look where that got us. So,
100%. One of my other episodes when I was at training camp, I kind of mentioned this. The one thing that I liked about it is that these guys are, and they mentioned this as well, they get through a ton of reps. And when the defense isn't necessarily going out there trying to deflect every single pass, intercept every single ball, it allows the receiver, the quarterback, the offense to get in time and get in rhythm.
Right.
And it allows them to like install this offense, you know. I think if you went into this and all of a sudden it was like, you know, especially with our defense, we're just decimating our offense while they're trying to install the basics.
Yeah.
And then we never get really that into place, and then come week 1, you know, we're looking completely out of sorts because we've only literally, you know, completed a handful of passes to this guy and a handful of passes to that guy because our defense have been killing us.
Right.
Well, then what's the point? I mean, I like the fact that these guys do have lighter days. I like that they're doing more of a walkthrough and a jog through from time to time, and I know they're getting a lot of flack for not going hard at it from some of the maybe former players, but maybe just an outside perspective, I see it as a bonus, and at least for this year. Hey, if you want to ramp it up year 2, year 3, I understand it. These guys all understand. We're bringing back our core. That's just my take. So,
and I'm not going to judge it till I see product on the field. If by week 4 or 5 we're really struggling on offense, then yeah, I'll come back to it. But if we're come out of the gate clicking, then it doesn't bother me.
Like a lot of different people have said, you know, hey, Sean McVay last year didn't play one starter during all of preseason.
Right.
Year. You know what I mean? So this NFL is changing, and maybe we might have to get used to it. You know.
Yep.
Who knows what it's going to work? If it's going to work, if it all works, but. Like you said, maybe wait until you prove it. I think there's some advantages. I would say not panic. I just hope these guys are not a little bit more injury prone because they haven't been pushed a little bit. That's my biggest concern. That's the thing that I'll be watching for as things go on. So, all right, buddy. Well, again, hey, man, thanks so much for joining me. Spending over an hour, even though I always tell you it's only going to be an hour. We're like an hour and 15 minutes. That's why Jody was like, no, I think we're good, dude. Let's wrap this up. But no, seriously, I appreciate you jumping in, spending time away from the family. I appreciate all our viewers who like,
thank you, everyone.
Share, subscribe, everyone that jumps in, all the commenters, all the guys from the K&K, Matt, everybody. I appreciate everybody jumping in here, all the shout-outs and all the love. So, boy, every single week, 6:30, Mountain Daylight Time. So, Jody, you back for us next week?
Yep, be back next week.
All right, man. Well, that's good because I'm going to be here next week, and without me, well, you'd probably just have a fantastic show. But that being said, man, I appreciate everybody. Little sign-off and salute from the both of us. Good night.
Good night.